Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Yes, we did just do a card review video. You may have noticed it was the second video yesterday, and it's not even 24 hours, and here we are making more card review videos. I guess we're really just trying to get as many views as possible, aren't we? Well, no, they're actually releasing cards like crazy right now. In this card review, we're going to cover 9 cards that came out after yesterday's video. 9 cards. That's a lot. All right, so we start to get to see how the upcoming Saviors of Uldum expansion is going to be shaped through some of these. And there's some pretty big hitters in today's videos. And this is maybe even an understatement. It's really big. All right, let's get started here. We got Plague of Flames is a new Warlock card. You basically kill off all your minions, and for each one you destroy a random enemy minion. So the idea is you put your lackeys to use, basically. You know, those worthless little guys that just, sit there after they've done their work. They're just ones on the board. You sacrifice all of them to kill your opponent's stuff. Now, in Constructed, I'm not sure how good this would be because you rarely see against the Zoo deck someone who stabilizes with a bunch of big minions at the same time. No, I don't know how often that happens, but it might be possible to combine this with, just putting down a bunch of minions and sacrificing them all in the same turn for an efficient, fairly good use of small minions in form of like a control warlock. It's possible, but we also don't really see much of a reason to play Control Warlock. So it's a bit difficult to see the vision of this card. It's a very powerful card, but it's very difficult to fit it in the current game. As far for Arena though, in Arena it's going to be pretty nuts. That's right. Speaking of nuts, we got lots of them coming up. We got a Anubis Defender. Now, this card is pretty similar to one you've seen before. It's very similar to Arcane Tyrant. So Arcane Tyrant was played in a lot of decks, including Druid. Lots of Druid decks played the card, in fact. Even like tempo-based Druids often played the card because it was that good. Anubis Defender, compared to Arcane Tyrant, well, it has 1 less attack, 1 more health, and Taunt. Is that good? Yeah, that's like way better, actually. That's way better. Having Taunt just makes it way better. Even if it had like a 3-4 stat line with Taunt, it'd be way better. So it's a way better card than one that was played in one of the best decks of all time. So Anubis Defender is just a 5-star card. We don't really need to play it to understand how good it is. This card is just crazy good. Being able to tempo out as a druid is massive. Being able to stall with taunts while you draw or play your combo pieces in a control combo deck is absolutely crazy strong. And speaking of that, well, we have a new druid card called Overflow. Overflow restores 5 health to all characters, including your opponent, by the way, which might be a bit of a downside, including your opponent's minions, all of them, which, might be a bit of a downside, but you draw 5 cards. The only card ever that draws 5 cards in and of its own abilities is Ultimate Infestation. You may have heard of this card before. It turns out Ultimate Infestation is pretty good. That's right. This card is actually better than pretty good. It kind of broke the game for a few years. Druid was completely out of control, and Ultimate Infestation was largely to blame. Now, if you compare Overflow with Ultimate Infestation, so you get the 5 cards, which is the main reason people played Ultimate Infestation, by the way. You get the 5 health, kind of. Armor's better, and typically when you played UI, your opponent had some stuff and you didn't, so the heal for 5 to all is a bit worse than 5 to armor, but for simplicity's sake, let's just say it's about the same. So Ultimate Infestation for an extra 3 mana and an extra delay of 3 turns typically, I think that's also extremely important. You get to do 5 damage and play a 5/5. Is that worth 3 mana? It definitely is. But if you're playing a combo deck, getting your draw going 3 turns earlier, that is such a big deal. I think Overflow is not going to be quite on the same power level of Ultimate Infestation, but it's going to come scary close. I think it is an extremely good card. We are again going to pre-rate this card 5 stars. There's no chance this card is bad. This card is completely insane, and we're going to see lots of it, especially in combination with the other Druid card we just talked about. Yeah, Druid seems to be pretty good in this upcoming expansion, to say the very least. New Paladin mech, we have a MicroMami, mechanized mummies, I guess, is a thing. 2 cost 1/2. It's a mech. And at the end of your turn, you give it another random friendly minion +1 attack. So if you've played Arena, you have experienced this card a little bit through the Master Swordsmith. And you might be thinking, well, if you give something 1 attack, Master Swordsmith's probably pretty good. It's kind of like a 2-mana 2/3 at the very worst. Nah, it's a bit worse than that. This effect is typically not that valuable on the Master Swordsmith because, well, the dude just dies all the time before he really gets going or really does very much. He's not like terrible, but the ability to give something 1 attack, I don't think it's worth as much as some people think it might be. I think it's worth a little bit less, but, for simplicity's sake, once again, perhaps it's worth 1 attack. So, MicroMami is kind of like a 2-mana, kind of 2/2 mech, with Reborn. So it comes back as a 1/1, but you still get the ability if it survives by the end of your turn. So that's actually a lot of stats. It's a lot of stats on a 2-drop mech, and well, that's pretty good. It's got Reborn, some synergies with that. It's got a mech, a lot of synergies with that, as a matter of fact. Just having a body that needs to be killed twice for magnetic effects later on in the game is certainly very powerful in the current meta. So MicroMami is, again, a very strong card. Perhaps even deceptively so. And speaking of strong cards, we have a new warrior weapon here, Livewire Lance. It is a 3 cost 2/2, so not a very well-statted weapon, but the effect is incredible. After your hero attacks, add a lackey to your hand. What? That's insane! You add a lackey to your hand for just attacking? So if you just play this standalone, it's 3 cost, get 2 lackeys, and you get to do 4 damage over 2 turns. If you compare this with the rogue option that you have to combo and you get a 1/4, I think I'd much rather have a 2/2 weapon, let alone the synergies with Warrior. Warrior is capable of actually adding durability to its weapons, so it doesn't have to stop there. That's a lot of lackeys, it's a lot of value, and it's a lot of tempo. This is a scary good card. We'll have to see just how it works, because one thing that is a bit unexplored is this lackey warrior idea. Sure, you included a few lackeys whenever you had the chance, but in general, if you wanted to play a bunch of lackeys, you played rogue. Now, do lackeys work in warrior? Maybe. It's an untested thing, but thanks to this card, it'll certainly get quite a lot of testing in the upcoming expansion. Desert Spear, another new weapon. This is a hunter item, a hunter weapon that is. It's a 3 cost 1/3, so it's pretty terrible statted. And the ability gives you a 1/1 locust with rush. So you basically get 3 of those. It's overall not too bad. I'd say this is a pretty fair card. You get like the beast synergies, and you get stuff on the board. You get to like micromanage your damage a little bit better. It's a pretty good card. It's pretty difficult to see the viability of a card like this because we don't know just how strong, mid-range hunter will keep up. It hasn't received very much other than this card, so it's a tough sell, I would say, but the card alone I think is a pretty reasonable power level and certainly worthy of your trying in the upcoming expansion. And we have a bit of an OP card here. We have a new Warlock Legendary, Dark Pharaoh Takan, 5 cost 4/4 Battle Cry. For the rest of the game, your lackeys are 4/4. So this is the same effect as the Rogue Quest, which was nerfed to like 2 or 3 different times. It literally took a stranglehold on the entire game for like a year or so because it was rather broken. Now, the Rogue Quest affected everything, all of your minions, which gave it much higher power increase, but it was also really hard to complete. This is just a 5-mana 4/4. You just play the guy. If you have 1 lackey already in play, well, that kind of pays for the tempo that you lose for having a 5-mana 4/4. So basically the requirement playing like a zoo-like deck with lackeys is have 1 lackey in play, and this card is just a good tempo play in addition to a game-winning condition. So again, this card is pretty good. I'm going to pre-rate this card as well 5 stars. It's just easy. I got no work here, man. Like, these cards just obviously crazy strong. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong in the end, I suppose. Speaking of lackeys, we got a new one. It's the Titanic Alaki. It's a 1-cost 1/1, of course it is, and the battle cry gives a friendly minion +2 health and taunt. Is that a worthwhile effect? Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's certainly better than you think. And a lot of the time when I find myself using lackeys in Hearthstone, I want to like stabilize and barely make it on the board. So it's like I'm going to play a lackey and I'm hope to get like, you know, a little bit of damage so I can survive. I end up in a lot of those situations myself, especially when I play Arena. So I feel like the Titanic Lackey helps that like desperate situation quite a bit. Getting 2 health for, you know, critical trade or just getting taunt to stay alive for another turn. It's kind of like a zoo thing, and lackeys are generally a zoo thing. So even though the effect might not look very strong, I think it will impress you once you start playing with it. Lastly for today, we got Vile Fiend. Not a whole lot to talk about this card. It's a 2-cost 2/2 with lifesteal, and it's a demon. Yep, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the others, and we'll see you guys in a bit.